what I'm getting from the engineer, that driveway, according to our ordinances, couldn't have and shouldn't have ever been there. Because you can't pull out of that driveway and go to the stop sign properly without being in the other lane of traffic as you go to that stop sign. I don't know the spot.
So can I ask a question on that, Fred? Why was that then not brought up initially when the plans were signed off on?
And you know what, and that's a great question. What I'm coming to you guys with is exactly what the progression of the project dictated. The progression of the project dictated that we needed a different system of piping, we needed a bigger footprint, and because we needed a bigger footprint, we needed to have guardrails there. Now, whether it took out your driveway or not, that project was going in. Now, as far as where your driveway was, we could look into, there was no other way to put that piping in without extending the guardrail past your driveway.
Why couldn't
And
they
that's-
just
and
do a
that's kind of- and
wraparound
that's
like
kind
it
of-
showed?
I'm sorry?
Why couldn't they just do a wraparound like the plan showed?
So,
The one I saw.
and that initial plan was with that initial piping, and correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, so we couldn't afford what the initial plan was.
You couldn't
Well, hold on, you
afford the
couldn't afford
initial
it.
plan, but now
But-
that
but
puts
that's
me
not an excuse.
without an
Is
entrance
that
to my
guardrail-
parking
Is
lot.
the guardrail within our
The
right of way?
guardrail is actually,
Is it
according to
within our
my
right?
measurements, what I need you to do within 48 hours is prove to me that that last post is not in my property, or I'm cutting it off, because according to my measurements, you got out of the right of way, and now your guide rail post is on my property. So I'm gonna take that last one out with the barrel wrap on it. And you might even be on Schaefer's property, because I made measurements out there. And you got way too
So is
wide
that-
a right of way for your guide rail,
Is
so
that
you're
the
probably
only-
on both of our
Is
properties.
that the only way you were using that parking lot? Just that in and out that way?
Well, once they park in, the way they park along Long Run Road, you gotta go in and out that way. You're gonna have people coming out having dinner, having one or two drinks, they're gonna have to back up to pull out in a parking lot that's gonna be narrow because they can't go forward on the Red Hill Road. You created a safety issue, a big safety issue.
What part is on your property? When I went out to.
The last post with the barrel wrap is on my property by 8 inches.
So you
you better move it.
You measured from the center of
I
the road?
measured, I was in construction 34 years, road construction, bridges, roadways, PennDOT roads, everything. I've done it my whole life. I got chalk marks out there and everything, okay? So I feel that that post is on my property, so get rid of it. And you might want to have the township engineer, did you tell them to not spend much money? Because that guide rail is disgusting. I got pictures here, the posts aren't deep enough, it's not positioned right on the structure, nothing follows the RC 51 drawings to tell me that you had to do it that way to hold that structure, because none of the corners are like the RC 51 drawings show for guide rail.
Yeah,
So you better have them check it out and not pay that contractor for that shoddy work.
well,
Go take a look at it. It's disgusting.
County got something.
The posts are crooked,
Well,
the
the
posts aren't deep
engineer has to
enough.
sign off on it too, and he hasn't signed off on it. Cause I asked him why there was such a big span.
Oh, he
Without
hasn't signed
any-
off on it, but people are driving on it? The road's open?
As far as I know,
Payment.
that thing was
He didn't
signed
sign it
off.
out for payment.
There's supposed to be 3 wood posts off each corners. 2 of the corners only have 2 wood posts, not 3 like the RC drawing.
Why don't,
So it wasn't even put in right, so
Why
why
doesn't-
can't you just give me a loop at my driveway
why doesn't
entrance?
someone go out with the engineer and meet with him and look at it? Why not all go out there and talk about it?
Honestly, I'd like to know why that didn't happen prior to
Yeah.
this being put on. Can I?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, thank you. Honestly, I mean, that's the right thing to do here. You guys had an agreement with this man, the paperwork was signed off on, and honestly, I feel like you guys had an issue with him with the garbage bill at his property for quite some time. I know, Fred, you might not know anything about that, which is fine. I kind of feel like this is potentially a little bit retaliatory for whatever issue you had going on there. Maybe there was some shoddy planning work that went on here, and then this was done on purpose, so.
But you can't, whatever's done's done, but at this point, why wouldn't you?
can
He has
fix
a
it.
He has a concern, why wouldn't someone go out with the engineer, meet with him, and y'all talk about it and see what you can
Well,
do?
thank you.
Who would you like to go out with?
I'd like Fred, I'd like to have you come out, Fred.
you just let me know when you want me to meet. I'll
But
meet up.
make sure Mike's there. I
Yeah,
think you
yeah,
need a
I'll
township
talk to Mike.
engineer there.
Mike,
Yeah,
Mike
that's-
and whoever was in charge of it.
Get his number.
Yeah,
So-
I don't know what your agreement was with inspections, but I sat on my porch every day and watched that project, and let me tell you, the inspectors were hardly there, they weren't observing the compaction and the fill over the culvert, which is very crucial with a contact system like that. So I don't know if you told the township engineer to watch his costs, but nobody was watching that work out there, but I watched it, and I'll tell you what, that's why some of the guide rail posts are crooked, because they would try to go, auger them down, and they had backfilled with goony boulders that were too big for the spec.
Well,
So,
you're
that
not,
whole project
well, I could
is
probably,
garbage. 25-year warranty on it, is that what they guarantee that for? So after 25 years, none of yous will be in the township, it's not your problem anymore? You spent all that money for a 25-year culvert,
well,
so it's gonna rot away.
I could promise you, none of us told them to watch costs and.
Well, then they
that
were
is
never
not
there.
That is not something that.
Well, they weren't there much.
You know, because if we're gonna do a project, we're not gonna do it shoddy.
Well, then you better check them out.
We worry
And we'll-
about,
Can I ask a question about that though? Because you had made a point when you were speaking earlier, and I'm sorry, you may have been cut off, about you couldn't afford the necessary
Can I,
piece.
can we get your name so she?
Yeah, sorry, my name's Brian Shea.
Okay, Brian.
But in reference to what, couldn't afford what?
We were talking about that a different culvert had to be put in, and you had made a comment
Oh, the
about.
initial one?
Yes.
Well, it's not that we couldn't afford it, we didn't have enough money from the county to fund that.
Then you couldn't afford it.
Right,
Well-
it's
We
It's a-
combined since
yeah, we had, how many years we
2016.
put together for it? And it was just an outrageous amount, I think it was like $300,000, and we said, we can't do that. You know, because you gotta use it in so many years. Well, the engineer come out, meet with you, and if there's any paperwork he has on compaction, you know, if he has all that, we'll have him bring it out and then
I don't
review
care,
it.
I'm just warning you, if he's billing you for so many hours out there in that project, believe me, they weren't there. And sometimes when he was there, he was sitting in his pickup 100 yards away from where the work was being performed. So don't think you got your money's worth if they billed you for every day out there, because they were not there. So maybe you need to hire a new township engineer if that's how they're gonna treat us.
so, Brian,
Yeah, I'll connect with you, and you guys can get something scheduled. I appreciate you coming out with the engineer to look at that, thank you.
if you believe that that's the best way, we have to at least get.
Absolutely.
Okay, so.
And then the only other thing is, if you decide not to do that and leave it the way it is, then there should be at least 35 to 40 square feet of property that you can give back to me that wasn't needed because that guide rail system wasn't built like that, and that's why you took the land. So if you're not gonna change it, I want my land back. So you can write that down too.
So when I'm out there, we could go through the
That's
whole.
fine. But you should get somebody out there to check that post, because I'm gonna cut it off.
So before we go any further, you make your list of what you believe is wrong, right? And we'll talk to the engineer together, and see where we're at with it, okay? As far as that post is concerned, I wouldn't advise you cutting it. I mean, I understand your frustration. You gotta understand, we're working with you with this. I need your promise that you just give us a couple days to meet up with you with Mr. Turpak.
You didn't
okay?
say that like months and months ago, you were working with me to let me know
I-
the plans were
I-
changing, and that I was going to not have my entrance anymore?
I am going to be out there with Mr. Turpak.
And did anybody tell the contractor to be quiet about this?
No,
Because
there's
when I
no-
finally
there's
approached
no-
him at the
I
end.
promise you there's.
Well, somebody
pro-
said something.
Well, I promise you on.
Whatever, I'll meet you out there.
But what I'm
and we'll
saying, I
just go
promise you on
through
our
it.
end, that's not something we do. I mean, I don't, that's not,
No,
that's
I
not in our
mean,
world. I know it's not in my world.
All right.
So, give me till Friday. I'm gonna try to get a date with, Mr. Turpak. You just let me know. It'll be in the evening if that's okay, or would you rather?
That's fine.
Okay, so Brian, once I talk to Mr. Turpak, see what his availability is until Friday,
That's fine.
we'll meet up. And until Friday, we won't have cut posts, please.
You will not have cut posts until Friday, Fred.
And
And
Fred,
I will be there before Friday, okay?
Fred, as a citizen of the community, and he has an agreement, under what legal authority or lawful authority did you guys change that agreement without notifying him of the change?
I don't know, and I know he's saying change, I don't know what was changed, that's why I said I
Well,
think.
what they're gonna do
I'm
is
not
they're-
disagreeing, that's why I said I think you need the engineer.
they're gonna
Gotta
say
be-
that what they're gonna say is
Don't
that
give an
this
excuse.
drawing
Then let 'em say
has to do with the temporary and permanent construction easements, and that the details of what's being built, that's not what this drawing was for.
Let them say it in
That's
writing.
just a misleading thing to me, showing me I'm gonna have
So-
an entrance and then I didn't.
I agree.
So
Yeah.
between now and Friday, we'll have a meeting, okay, with the
Mhm.
engineer. I'll make sure that I'm in touch with you, Brian, and then we'll coordinate that, okay?
Thank you.
I appreciate your concern, and like I said, we'll meet up with you and figure it out.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Anybody else have anything else?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask Mr. Fry how
Do
much,
you wanna state your name?
Paul Hunter? I wanted to ask Jason Fry how much dirt he's gonna dump back there on his property again.
What do you mean, how much dirt?
How much dirt, he just dumped 2 loads there the other day on Level Valley, they got